Thank you. It's my privilege today to introduce Buck Lee as our speaker. I just mentioned to Buck that in view of the time, I would keep this intro very short to allow him more time for the speech. He said, feel free to embellish. Buck is the Executive Director of the Santa Rosa Island Authority, where he served in that role since 2005. And he works to implement the plans and program of the Island Authority Board of Directors. He manages a staff of 35 permanent employees, and during the spring and summer, there's an additional 40 seasonal employees that comes under the auspices of SRIA. Buck is the former owner of Jack Lee Buick and the former president of the Buck Lee Government Consulting. I guess from there he migrated into politics. So I assume when you're in car sales, it's kind of a natural migration. I guess there's some similar skill sets. Buck has the, I think, distinction of having served on the county commission both in Escambia County and Santa Rosa County. I know of no other politician with such a record, and so I believe he stands alone in that regard. He's active in the community, various community organizations, and in 2011 he was awarded award of Communicator of the Year by the Florida Public Relations Association, and I feel sure that is due in no small part to the role he played following the BP oil spill. We all remember that era of months and I guess even years where you had to, if you turned on Channel 3 at night, you got to see Buck talking about Pensacola Beach. Buck is a member of Five Flags Rotary. He's a Paul Harris Fellow, and he has 32 years of public attendance, perfect attendance. So with that, let's welcome Buck Lee.
Thank you. Maybe if I couldn't have gotten into Ole Miss, I'd have gone to Harvard. So. Lucky I was able to make an 18 on my ACT, so I did. With me today, I'd like to introduce my Director of Administration, Robbie Schrock, Robbie, and my former Director of Administration, who Jeff Miller stole from me, Sharon Centuri. Thank you. And then Rosa Robinson, County Commissioner, and part of his District 4 includes Pensacola Beach. I've had a long, I grew up, we all talked about when Jerry and I were in high school together going out to Pensacola Beach and collecting seashells and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. In fact, 40 years ago this July, I met my wife who was visiting for Mobile on Pensacola Beach, and we dated for almost 3 months and got married. In October, it'd be 40 years, and we both can't believe we got that damn old. 1947, this used to be called Santa Rosa Monument. The federal government gave it to Escambia County. Then the state passed a statute and for the Santa Rosa Island Authority to come forward and promote for the locals and for tourism. Amazing part, there were 5-member boards. Each commissioner got one appointee. Back then they made $250 a month. And if they saved that money, at the end of the year they had $3,000, they could go out and purchase 2 brand new automobiles and plus have a little money left over. Right now we pay our board members $400 a month, and I go next week to our state delegation asking them to increase it to $550, which is not quite enough, but at least it's a little help. 9 years ago almost, I came out to Santa Rosa Island Authority to serve as a county commissioner in Santa Rosa County. And it was after Ivan in 2004, it was before Dennis in 2005. And so we're trying to get everything wrapped up from there, try to move forward, and then the recession hit 2008. And I'm thinking, what the hell else could happen? Then in June 2010, Pensacola Beach was covered in oil. That was probably the worst nightmare that morning when I came out at daybreak and saw what was going on and how we were going to get our beach back. But I will tell you that the residents and businesses are very resilient. Last 2012 fiscal year, our businesses had more retail sales than ever before. 2013 was better than 2012. We're hoping this year that we'll match last year or maybe just a little bit better. 2012, we had $158 million in sales, and last year, $166 million. Good news, July 11th and 12th, the Pensacola Beach Air Show with the Blue Angels are coming back to Pensacola Beach. That is I tried to buy them with a couple other people around the country that put on the air shows, and they told me how much it would be here. And I said, okay, we'll come up to $250 and we get some people on each side of us. Then they emailed me back and said, we never charge anybody for the Blue Angels. That's not exactly correct. We have to pay $8,000 for their smoke oil. Some other places have to pay $16,000. So they do charge. The person I was dealing with didn't quite know the facts. About 8 years ago, I started a thing called Bands on the Beach. It's every Tuesday night. Peter's great supporters, see him out there all the time. And it runs from April through the end of October. I have all local bands, mostly. I pay them all the same, $450. And they're lined up wanting to come out there and play. A lot of these bands charge $1,500, $2,000 for other events, whether it's Mardi Gras or Fiesta or whatever, but they love coming out and playing for bands on the beach. People come out, they bring the lawn chairs and the coolers. The visitors love it because they go out beforehand and have dinner. The younger folks stay a little bit later and go to the bars. We have free trolleys in Pensacola Beach, and they start from Memorial Day through Labor Day. They run from 4 in the afternoon to midnight. They run basically from Portofino down to the entrance to the west of Fort Pickens Gate to the National Seashore. It is a great way for people to go out and have a great time and not worry about having a couple of glasses of wine and get back to their hotel or condo or house. Thanks to Rover, we're going to have a new road, it's a little side road along Pensacola Beach Boulevard, basically from Whitewater Beach all the way down to the fishing pier next to the Grand Marble. And the reason that's exciting is now we can get the trolleys down there. We couldn't before because there was no way to pull them back onto Pensacola Beach Boulevard, trying to go across that 2 lanes and then get out with the oncoming traffic coming onto the beach. So thank you, Rosa. It's going to be great. We can't wait till you start, too. It'll be nice. The Redfish Bluefish is a new restaurant. It's next to my office, and our office is kind of across the street from the Hampton Inn. It's made out of shipping containers, and Junior McQueen did it. There's one over in Orange Beach when you cross the bridge on the left-hand side, and I went over there about 7 or 8 months to check on it to see how shipping containers work for a restaurant. It's right there at the pass. So I walked in there and stood in line and got my hamburger and my Coke. Said, how much is that? She said, $12.50. I said, what do you get for $12.50? She said, a pickle. And she said, you want fries? And I said, I don't think I can afford fries. It's very nice, and he's doing a great job, and he's got a great view. So, we got a new bar that's opening on the pier. If you go on the left-hand side of the pier going out, we have it leased to a gentleman out there, and he pays about $50,000 a year to the pier. But the folks that have World of Beer here in Pensacola on Palafox Street, they're opening another bar right there. And they're going to have wine and beer, cocktails. They'll also have, they're spending a couple $100,000 on new furniture. They're fixing the restrooms up there. And they'll also have on both the south side and the east side, which is their property outside that they lease, they'll have chairs and umbrellas for you to go down there, and then Papa's Pizza will be right next door. If I want to get a slice of pizza, grab a beer, go sit down and enjoy it, and hope they do. The enhancements to Park West. Park West is the entrance to Fort Pickens National Seashore area. And on the north side, we're going to put in a big shelter with a couple of picnic tables. People can come, have a glass of wine, cheese, watch the sunset. We'll have some more picnic tables there. Or if they come during the day, the county has a snorkeling reef right there, and Mom and Dad can watch the kids snorkel. So we think that's going to be a wonderful addition. Today, when Rover and I met, we talked about it earlier, about 3.5 years ago, we had breakfast out on Scenic Highway, gentlemen from the city of Pensacola, we were talking about a ferry system, Pensacola, Fort Pickens, Pensacola Beach, and back. The federal government doesn't work really quick. In fact, Robbie and I have a conference call this afternoon at 3 o'clock out of Denver, Colorado, because that's where all their projects come from. And they want us to widen our Whitewater Pier, put a ticket sales office at the end, and put a shelter on top. So that's, hope they have the money to pay for all that, because we should have said no, but we'll work towards it and see what we come up with. We are resurfacing our secondary roads, which is basically anything but Pensacola Beach Boulevard, Fort Pickens Road, and Via Balloon. Those are our responsibilities, and we're spending about $500,000 this year resurfacing those and some parking lots that need to be built. We have a Mother's Day concert. It's held in May. We have the Pensacola Symphony come out. It's very exciting. We spent about $18,000 to $20,000 putting that on one evening, but it's great. It's a different crowd that I don't see at bands on the beach. They come out to the Pensacola Symphony and for Mother's Day. They take their mom out to dinner afterwards or before whatever, a big lunch. So we're excited to put that on. We now have an RV park. Jim Reeves built one kind of across the street from the Hilton on the north side. It's 77 lots. It's doing real well. We never had an RV park out there before, and they did a first-class job in doing it. We see a lot of snowbirds out there now with their RVs, and we're trying to do a promotion later on to try to get more snowbirds that are going to maybe the Bar Beach or Perdita, or even to Alabama to come and discover Pensacola Beach. We went to a Gulf Power Symposium last year, this was October, and they had a guy speaking about a senior park. And so I thought it was a good idea. And basically these are exercise equipment outside. I think they have some over by Pensacola Airport, the city put in over there, so we're going to put them in. We have a little walking trail next to the beach scooter, and we'll put them in there so seniors that want to walk around the park and do some exercises, that we're welcome to, and we'll see how that works out. We're hoping one day to get some BP money through the county to nourish the Gulf side. Maybe 2 years, maybe 4 years. We just hope we get it. It's costing about 16 to 18 million. But right now the Island Authority is spending $270,000 just to get a permit to do that. Once that's completed, probably end of this year, that permit will be good for 5 years. And then we hope in the next 5 years, if we go out there, you'll see some of our areas, the sand's completely gone. You can't take an ATV and ride down there anymore. You have to go, the lifeguards have to go back on the highway and circle back around condominiums to get down there because the beach is gone. We are installing new, brighter lights at the casino parking lot to make it a little safer out there. They're also turtle friendly. This was a grant that was given to us by the Department of Interior that they received the money from BP. You go through the toll facility out there, and friends say, Buck, that brings in about $3.5 to $4 million. What do you do with that? I said, we send it to Rover. You don't get a damn dime. Oh, well, how about the bed tax? He said, well, that's about 45% of the whole county's bed taxes on Pensacola Beach. But what do you do with that? We don't get it. It goes into Schenectady County. Well, the sales tax, we don't receive a dime. How about Avalon? Not a dime. We collect about $3.5 million from residential lease fees. That is, some people may only pay $500 or $1,000 a year. Some may pay $10,000 a year. It all depends on what they built and where they built it. And then we get about $4.5 million for what we call our commercial lease fees. So if you go out and have dinner or whatever, it's the SRIA fees. Wife and I went out and had dinner last night at Grand Marlin. Bill was about $80, 2%, so it was $1.60. But that $1.60 in the other hotels at 2.55 brings in $4.5 million. And that's how we survive with those fees. The SRA fee is, like I said, 2% for food, 2.55 for the hotel, and 5% if you went out and bought a souvenir, a t-shirt or whatever else. What I'm going to mention to you now are a lot of numbers, and when I finish, and you get ready to leave, Roger's going to have a copy sheet, about 75 copies for you to take with you, because when you see some letter to the editor saying, boy, if we get rid of the Island Authority, look how the money we could save. Not going to happen. Unless you want to destroy what we built up. We do a lot of projects with the county, in partnership. We send them $600,000 a year. And that's for a road bond that they did the 4-laning on. There's a fire station out there, and the Island Authority sends them $200,000 a year. We have ambulance service, about $75,000. And then we have sheriff's deputies that we fund for about a little over $200,000. The sheriff has a substation, we have about 3 deputies, and that's fine during the year with the amount of residents we have. But when we start getting 25 to 40,000 people on Saturday and Sundays out there during the week, then we supply about 6 or 7 deputies for the core area that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just to make sure that our locals have a safe trip, our visitors have a safe journey out there, and everybody behaves themselves. So the Gulf side, we nourished the beach from about where my office is down to what we call Whitewater Beach. We spent $270,000 on that, and then we made a deal with the county. They're dredging Lafitte Cove, which has a beautiful white sand, and taking it over to us by the ECUA water tanks there when you come through the toll, and our agreement with Rosa to pay them $65,000 a year. So just right there, it's $1.4 million that we partnered with the county on. Public safety. About 10, 11 years ago, up and down the Gulf Coast, the Gulf Shores of Panama City, we had a lot of them. They were 25, 26 drownings that one weekend. Some of us out authority got serious about lifeguards. And now we have about 50 lifeguards. They're not there all at the same time. A lot of them are mostly college kids that go to school here at West Florida, Pensacola State. If they go out, we have some high school students. But it's important that they're out there. Unfortunately, because of the, I want to say socialized medicine, I guess the National Health Sheriff, what they call it, we can no longer work 40 hours a week. We have to cut it back to 29 hours a week now. And so we have to make sure that the schedule is correctly, we fall into that category. It costs us a lot. Right there, that's $1.6 million. Then we do around 2.7 for public works. And that's to keep up everything on the beach. We have 3 shifts. The first shift shows up at 4 o'clock in the morning. The second is at 7 o'clock. And the third is at 4 in the afternoon. So we'll go from 4 in the morning to about midnight. We only have 3.5 hours that we don't have somebody out there cleaning the parking lots, the beach, making repairs and doing what might need to be done. So when you come on that beach, you don't see anything out of place. So right there is $4.3 million. We do the Pensacola Beach Air Show with the Blue Angels, that's $150,000. We have security for the air show, it's $40 grand. Bands on the beach is $60,000, and security for bands is another $22,000. The past year, the nourishment on the north side of the island, $700,000. Parking lots, secondary roads, $500,000. And a new Vic Center is $280,000. The Vic Center now is going to come to the beach and it kind of forks right there in front of South Harbor. That's our Vic Center. A lot of people go past it to the visitors and think, well, that's where it was. Right now, we're going out for bids and we're going to put it in the center parking lot on the far north-hand side, right in front of the traffic signal. And it's going to be built over the holding pond so we don't take any parking out. And of course, it will be up on pilings. And then the board will decide whether to lease that building that we have now or to sell it. And I have no idea what they're going to come up with. So if you look at all these totals, you've got $7.5 million. And that doesn't count the $400,000 we spent on advertising. It doesn't count the $50,000 we give to the Pensacola Beach Chamber for advertising, or the $55,000 we give to the Beach Chamber for fireworks, $8 million. I'm not sure we could take any of this away and still have the beach that we have now, and have the tourist attraction, and have the safety and the cleanliness of that beach. It's a passion of mine. Like I said, I grew up on that beach. My parents, when I was growing up, had a house on the Gulf with another couple out of Baton Rouge. One of the typical little cinder block, jalousie windows, terrazzo floors, no air conditioning. Because back then, you couldn't get insurance. So nobody invested a whole heck of a lot out there to build a beautiful mansion until later on they became able to get insurance for wind and also flood insurance. Now we've got great hotels that are out there now. We have a cap in Pensacola Beach as far as the residential unit. We have met that cap. In fact, the last 2 buildings Portofino puts up, they've already years ago have those units available and are allowed to build. Somebody asked, well, how about a commercial place? Is there a cap on that? No, not really. It depends on whether you have 20 units an acre, 30 units an acre, or 50 units an acre. So if you had a 5-acre vacant property and you had 50 units an acre, you could build 250 units of a hotel, but not a condominium. So the place where the dunes was, which was between Margaritaville and Holiday Inn Express, after Ivan was torn down, and American Fidelity bought that and split it in half. Half of it went to Holiday Inn Express, and the other half went to Margaritaville. Here's a big piece of property out there now for sale, where the Clarion was. Unfortunately, there are like 70-something owners, and for all of them to get together and decide on what price they want to sell it, so I don't know how much longer that's going to be around. But right now, I would like to take questions. I think we've got 5 minutes at the most. Yes, ma'am.
How is flood insurance going to impact your beach residents and your commercial out there, the increase in flood insurance?
Flood insurance. Last year I was in New Orleans for the National Hurricane Conference. Jim Fugate, Craig Fugate, I've known for many years. He used to be state of Florida emergency. He's now head of FEMA for the federal government. And talked to him, and he told me that he's getting ready to skyrocket. So if you had flood insurance that was maybe $1,000, it's going to be 10, maybe 15,000 years to come. They are trying to fill in the money that was given away. A lot of it was given away to Hurricane Sandy on the East Coast. That's my opinion, because they didn't have flood insurance. But it's going to skyrocket, especially if you don't have the build a code. If you're not up high enough, you're not on pilots, you're not the wind load, which yes, it is going to go up, unfortunately. So, any other questions?
Well,
Sure. Yeah, brother.
public safety issues on crosswalks. I know we just put a new one out there, looking at other ones. After we evaluate the sales goals.
They put up, the county did a great job. We got a crosswalk in front of the Elks Lodge, so the drunks could get over across the street. And I'm a member of the Elk Lodge out there. But it's fantastic. At night, it'll have little lights and the asphalt that flash and so forth. And people I've talked to, the Elk members out there, they enjoy it because there's not enough parking, and the Elk Lodge can park across towards Quietwater. It's worked out super. I'm hoping that maybe we can partner with the county, with your local opera sales tax money and some of our money, and put more of them in, especially down via the Luna, where a lot of the Hilton is, and on the Holiday Inn Resort, and further down to Spring Hill Suites. That's what's really needed. Those people, they come out, they've never been to Pensacola Beach before. There are little signs that say crosswalk, and that's good. But if you're stopped and the person behind you on the left-hand side doesn't see him walk out, that's not too good. So, great job, and we'll be happy to work with you, trying to put some more in. But they are working, and people appreciate it. Yeah.
The continuing cleanup of permits, is it still happening, and if so, who's responsible?
Ask about the BP cleanup. No, it's they took their workers, and we haven't had much problem with it. Even with that tropical storm Isaac coming by last year, we thought it may stir up something and put it on the beach. It really didn't. But if we do, we can call, and they'll take about a day to put some 3 or 4 people together. If I ever give a speech about the BP oil spill, it'll take about a half hour, and you won't believe the idiots I had to deal with. It was pitiful. But one guy told me I couldn't put heavy equipment on Pensacola Beach. I said, well, we clean it every day with a tractor, and we pull this machine around that cleans it. He said, you can't clean it. That's what the National Seashore said. They don't need tractors on the beach. I said, this is not the National Seashore. We have 8.5 miles. He said, well, my map back at Bio Chico doesn't say that. So I went back and redrew his map for him. Yes?
But the toll booth is a real logjam, the manual toll booth. Do you know of any plans to make that automated anytime soon?
Yes, Grover. Grover's working on that now with something similar to a Sun Pass, but not really, because Sun Pass gets you every time you go through, and where you could buy this type of Sun Pass for $50. Then you can come on just like you do now. But you're right, Grover's working on that. He sent some folks down to South Florida to look at a similar system. So hopefully they'll get that done in the near future. Like I said, it's their toll, not ours. They get the money. Oh, I got a coffee cup or something? Oh, wow.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Buck, and in honor of your career at Ole Miss, we're going to be donating a book to a local school. We do that with all of our, in your name, so in addition to the beautiful china that you get. Well, thank you, great program, great information. Next week's program, as I mentioned earlier, we have actually an SEC football official who's going to come talk to us, give us a little perspective on that front for if there may be an SEC football fan out here, maybe one or two.